back to our channel on this beautiful, intriguing day as we unpack the latest explosive developments from Genoa City. The sterile, unforgiving hum of the hospital monitors serves as a grim soundtrack to the devastating tragedy that has befallen one of the most beloved figures in the corporate world. Lily Winters, a woman of unparalleled strength, now lies in a critical state, her life hanging precariously in the balance. The catastrophic fallout from the violently escalated confrontation with Billy Abbott has left her physically shattered, her family reeling in an abyss of despair. The pristine white walls of her intensive care unit stand in stark contrast to the dark, treacherous corporate warfare that placed her there, serving as a haunting reminder of the lethal consequences of unchecked ambition. As the Winters and Ashby families gather in the agonizing waiting rooms, a heavy, suffocating blanket of grief threatens to consume them all, masking the brewing storm of vengeance about to be unleashed. Amidst this paralyzing sorrow, one figure emerges from the periphery, his grief rapidly hardening into an unbreakable resolve. Holden Novak, a man whose professional trajectory was violently derailed by Billy Abbott, now stands as the ultimate testament to loyalty. Having been unceremoniously fired by Billy and subsequently recruited by Lily to help fortify Chancellor Industries, Holden feels a profound responsibility to honor the woman who believed in him. The sight of Lily, incapacitated and vulnerable, ignites a fierce, protective inferno within Holden's soul. He recognizes that while Lily's body is unable to wage the war she started, her strategic vision remains embedded in the foundation of the company. Holden's transition from a shocked employee to a relentless corporate crusader is born out of a desperate need to ensure that Lily's sacrifices were not in vain, and that the architect of her destruction faces absolute ruin. Channeling his overwhelming emotional turmoil into meticulous action, Holden embarks on a shadow investigation of unprecedented depth. Operating from a secure location to avoid the prying eyes of the Abbott loyalists, he dives into the labyrinthine digital archives of Chancellor Industries. Holden possesses an intimate understanding of the company's internal servers, a knowledge base that Billy arrogantly underestimated when he dismissed him. With surgical precision, Holden begins to trace the digital footprints left behind by Billy over the past few chaotic weeks. He bypasses encrypted firewalls and unearths hidden communication logs, determined to reconstruct the exact timeline of Billy's aggressive maneuvers. The investigation is grueling, requiring Holden to sift through mountains of convoluted legal jargon, but his unwavering dedication fuels his exhaustive search for the fatal flaw in Billy's armor. The deeper Holden delves into the digital abyss, the more horrifying the truth becomes. The pristine narrative Billy had constructed regarding a righteous crusade to reclaim his father's legacy through a historical, unpaid loan begins to fracture under Holden's intense scrutiny. Holden uncovers a chilling series of shady, backroom transactions and deeply unethical negotiations that Billy orchestrated in the shadows to artificially bolster his takeover bid. There are records of clandestine meetings with aggressive venture capitalists, hidden shell companies designed to mask stock acquisitions, and manipulative communications aimed at destabilizing Chancellor's board of directors. These were not the actions of a man seeking rightful justice. They were the desperate maneuvers of a corporate predator willing to leverage fraud to seize control. Holden compiles this damning evidence, realizing Billy's claim is built on deceit. This horrifying discovery provides Holden with a disturbing psychological profile of Billy Abbott's current mental state. It becomes abundantly clear that Billy's manic drive to honor John Abbott's legacy has completely twisted his moral compass, blinding him to the devastating collateral damage he is inflicting. The evidence reveals a man entirely consumed by a dark obsession, willing to sacrifice his family's honorable reputation and the physical safety of a woman he once respected for absolute power. Holden analyzes the erratic nature of the transactions, noting the increasing recklessness in Billy's recent decisions. It is a portrait of a mind descending into a dangerous delusion where the ends justify any horrifying means. Understanding this psychological deterioration empowers Holden as he realizes that Billy's arrogance and blinding obsession are his greatest vulnerabilities, leaving a trail of undeniable corruption. Armed with this explosive dossier, Holden wrestles with the monumental gravity of the decision before him. He is acutely aware that exposing these fraudulent transactions will trigger a massive, unprecedented public relations and legal crisis for Chancellor Industries itself. The revelation of such deep-seated corruption at the highest levels of the executive suite will send shockwaves through the global markets, potentially tanking the company's stock and inviting severe regulatory scrutiny. However, as Holden looks at the latest grim medical updates regarding Lily's critical condition, his hesitation evaporates. He understands that preserving a false sense of corporate stability is meaningless if the company is handed over to a tyrant who engineered its downfall. The only way to truly honor Lily's legacy and protect the integrity of Chancellor Industries is to surgically excise the cancer threatening to consume it. With calculated precision, Holden orchestrates the public unveiling of Billy's dark corporate sins. He bypasses the traditional media channels and instead securely transmits the comprehensive dossier to a consortium of elite financial regulators and the most influential members of the Chancellor Industries Board of Directors. The impact is instantaneous and catastrophic. The morning news cycles are immediately dominated by the explosive allegations, painting a grim picture of Billy Abbott's fraudulent path to power. The carefully curated image of the Abbott family's righteous return to Chancellor is shattered, replaced by headlines screaming of extortion and corporate sabotage. The sudden, blinding spotlight of public scrutiny brings Billy's unstoppable momentum to a violent, screeching halt, trapping him in a nightmare of his own making as the world finally sees the monster lurking behind the tailored suits. The ensuing legal and public relations crisis hits Billy with the force of a devastating hurricane. His meticulously constructed takeover bid crumbles as the board of directors immediately suspends all negotiations, terrified of the legal liability associated with his fraudulent actions. Regulatory agencies announce immediate sweeping investigations into his financial dealings, freezing his assets and placing his every move under a microscope. The public backlash is severe, with shareholders demanding accountability and corporate allies rapidly distancing themselves from the toxic fallout. Billy finds himself entirely isolated, his arrogant proclamations of victory replaced by frantic, desperate attempts to salvage his disintegrating legal position. The very evidence he believed would secure his empire has now become the noose tightening around his neck, transforming him into a prime suspect in a massive corporate fraud investigation. While the corporate world burns around Billy, the stark, heartbreaking reality within Lily's hospital room remains unchanged. She remains trapped in a silent, comatose state, entirely incapacitated and unable to witness the miraculous counteroffensive launched in her name. The leadership vacuum created by her tragic accident threatens to leave Chancellor Industries vulnerable to outside vultures, including the ever-watchful Victor Newman. The Winters family, consumed by their bedside vigil, is emotionally exhausted, incapable of navigating the complex, cutthroat legal warfare required to fully neutralize Billy's lingering threats. It becomes terrifyingly apparent that without a strong, legally empowered proxy to stand in Lily's place, the victories Holden has achieved in the press could easily be overturned in the courtroom. The company desperately needs a champion who possesses the ruthless determination to execute Lily's vision. Recognizing this critical vulnerability, Holden makes the boldest decision of his life. He formally volunteers to step out of the shadows and become Lily's official corporate and legal representative. This is a monumental escalation for a man who, just weeks prior, was a mid-level employee navigating the bureaucratic maze of the company. Now, Holden is stepping into the executive gladiator arena, demanding the legal authority to wield Lily's power and direct the vast resources of Chancellor Industries against its greatest enemy. He presents his case to the remaining loyalists on the board, arguing that his intimate knowledge of Billy's fraudulent schemes and his unwavering dedication to Lily's strategic vision make him the only logical choice to lead the defense. It is a profound act of courage and loyalty, a testament to the transformative power of grief and the desperate need for justice in a ruthless corporate world. Holden's audacious bid for power receives the crucial, unwavering support of Cain Ashby. Cain, entirely consumed by a potent mixture of agonizing grief over his wife's critical condition and a blinding murderous rage directed at Billy, recognizes Holden as the perfect instrument for his vengeance. While Kane's own emotional volatility makes him a liability in the sterile environment of a courtroom, he possesses the deep institutional knowledge and the formidable corporate connections necessary to legitimize Holden's new role. The alliance forged between Kane and Holden is one of absolute, uncompromising necessity, united by their shared devastation and a singular, burning desire to see Billy Abbott utterly destroyed. Kane leverages his remaining influence to bulldoze through the bureaucratic red tape, aggressively securing the necessary legal proxies and power of attorney documents that officially anoint Holden as the tip of the spear. Empowered by this new authority, Holden and Kane convene an emergency, high-stakes strategy session with Lily's elite team of corporate attorneys. The atmosphere in the war room is thick with tension and anticipation, the air crackling with the electric possibility of a definitive victory. The lawyers, initially skeptical of Holden's sudden elevation, are quickly silenced by the sheer brilliance and meticulous detail of his forensic findings. Holden methodically lays out the intricate web of Billy's deceit, but he does not stop at the recent fraudulent transactions. He directs the legal team's focus back to the very foundation of Billy's claim regarding the historical, unpaid loan documents from John Abbott. Holden's exhaustive research has uncovered a profound, overlooked vulnerability within the archaic legal jargon of those original contracts, a loophole that Billy completely failed to comprehend in his arrogant haste. Holden unveils a bold, unprecedented counter-strategy designed to completely flip the script on Billy Abbott. He demonstrates to the legal team that by utilizing the very documents Billy submitted as proof of his ownership, they can legally prove that Billy has grossly misinterpreted the clauses regarding the transfer of assets. Holden's analysis reveals that the historical loan contained specific, conditional covenants regarding the ethical management of the company, covenants that Billy's recent, shady transactions have egregiously violated. By weaponizing Billy's own evidence against him, Holden plans to argue before a judge that Billy's unethical exploitation of the situation not only nullifies his current claim but retroactively invalidates the Abbott family's right to seize the company under the original terms. It is a masterstroke of legal judo, using the opponent's momentum to deliver a fatal, undeniable blow. As the legal team feverishly drafts the injunctions and prepares to file the devastating countersuit, a chilling sense of impending doom settles over the war room. Holden has successfully orchestrated a brilliant, seemingly foolproof trap, but he is dealing with a man who has already proven capable of pushing a woman to the brink of death when cornered. The narrative reaches a terrifying precipice as Holden receives a sudden, encrypted message on his personal server, an anonymous tip that completely alters the landscape of the war. The message contains a fragmented audio file, a haunting recording that suggests Billy is not acting alone, and that his fraudulent transactions were secretly funded by a far more dangerous, unseen predator lurking in the shadows of Genoa City. As Holden listens to the distorted voice, the realization dawns that his brilliant legal strike might inadvertently trigger the wrath of an even greater monster, leaving the fate of Chancellor Industries hanging in a terrifying balance.